Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our latest webinar here for WordSouth, Pioneer, and Arc Media. We are happy to have you, all of you guys, joining us once again. My name is Andy Johns. I'm the Director of Marketing with WordSouth, and we've got a great crew of folks here that I'll be introducing here in just a moment. It looks like we have a good number of folks attending. Nice split between folks in the telco space and folks in the public power arena. So a couple of folks that I want to introduce as we get started here on our team as we're getting into advertising and commercials today. Just seemed like a good day to have a webinar about this, with everybody having all of those commercials from the Super Bowl last night fresh in everyone's mind. A couple of folks to introduce here. I'd like to start with Andy Neidert, who is our VP of Marketing Business Development at Pioneer. So Andy, thanks for being on. We've also got Gus Wagner, who is the Director of Special Projects and Legislative Work with Arc Media, Pioneer and WordSouth. Hello, Gus. I've got Jonathan Farmer, who is the new guy on the team, Director of Member Solutions is Jonathan's role. So we are excited to have Jonathan on board. And the formerly new person on board before Jonathan came in is Tina Potter. And Tina does the digital ad strategy for us, and we'll have a lot to say throughout this this webinar today. She's got a lot of really good tips to share with everybody as we get going. We've got a lot of ground to cover, but I thought that we of course need to start with everybody's favorite commercials from last night. So if you have any in the chat that you want to throw out there, go ahead and throw those up there. First, we're going to run through our team here. We're going to start with Jonathan, and then Tina, Gus, Andy, and then myself to run through some of our favorite ads and what we thought worked well and what didn't work as well, kind of what our thoughts might be on the message, the audience, all of those pieces there. So Jonathan, I've got your ad here. Let me share the screen. We will pull it up for you. And the new guy had to go first. So let me share the screen and should have in just a moment your ad that you wanted to share with everybody, the one that you picked. So just let me know if this doesn't work. I think it should, but here goes.
The backyard. It's had quite a year. I say, let's keep this backyard thing going. That's why Scotts and Miracle-Gro want to give you a chance to win the lawn and garden of your dreams.
Like mine. You know, just not better than mine.
Like mine, where you can work on your short game.
Like mine. Oh, it's a little close. Oh! It only turns left.
Come on, Leslie, crush your core.
I don't crush, Emma.
Dad, it's the red one.
I know.
The other red one.
I know.
Feeling good, like I should.
He's still got it.
So text me now and win the lawn and garden of your dreams.
Hey, Travolta's, don't be tickety-talking on my grass.
Feeling blessed, never stressed.
So Jonathan, obviously a lot going on in that commercial, but go ahead and tell us what you thought about that one.
Yeah, it's one that stood out to me a bit, maybe because I'm part of their target audience, I think. Miracle-Gro in general, this is their first Super Bowl commercial. They're not generally in this space, but they're up, I think, 105% since last year at this time. So clearly a lot of people during the pandemic are spending time on their lawns, their backyards, right? So they decided they're going to strike while the iron's hot, it seems like to me. But there's so many things that were going on in there. You can see when you're trying to advertise, you want to get in front of, the audience that you want to be in front of, and so you want to find something that appeals to them. Clearly, a lot of people are out in their yards, so they had such a wide audience. It was just interesting to see how specific everything was. But definitely a lot of millennials, first-time home buyers are spending money there. So they had a lot of, the office, Stanley from the office is there, very front and center. They have Martha Stewart's definitely, for many age groups, that one works. She's, the epitome of home, and garden type stuff. But then they're also reaching out to audiences with, what's his name, Bush, the NASCAR driver, his thing only turning left. That was pretty funny, but they're reaching for different audiences. actors there. The fitness gal, I didn't know who that was, but apparently she does the Peloton biking sort of stuff. She's a fitness instructor that like apparently is big into that role. Again, not my audience, so I didn't know, but somebody is going to recognize her as being, you know, a name. And so I just liked it because it was, you know, it was funny. Everybody likes the, you know, hey Travolta, stop tickety-tocking on my lawn type of thing. Everybody can relate to that. But in general, just as far as advertising goes, it was a very, you know, segmented approach, and I think it was fun. Good, you know, feel good advertisement that just left me at the end feeling good and like, hey, maybe I'll go check out what they're doing.
Excellent. I think audience is a key part of advertising that we will be discussing quite a bit. So I appreciate you sharing that one, Jonathan. Tina, yours was the next up. So let's go ahead and we'll share the ad that Tina had selected here. Bear with me. Here we go.
I feel bad for kicking your seat on purpose.
I'm sorry for mansplaining. That's when a man...
I know what it is.
We should have just told you it's a boy.
I wish you didn't have to hear all that.
Sorry I called you Karen.
That's my name.
Sorry your name is Karen.
I promise I will not eat any more of your friends.
Really?
Okay, it might happen one more time.
So that's a fun one. You know, there's again a lot going on in that one. They pack so much into just a short little time. But Tina, share with us a little bit about what stood out in that one to you.
Well, I liked it, and they are traditionally in the Super Bowl ads, so they didn't disappoint this year. I liked it because it was so relatable, but yet at the same time they told a story and they were able to get their brand right out front. And I think sometimes when we get so caught up in telling a story on video that we forget that we need to know what it's about. Who is it? So we know that right from the start because they're passing over the M&Ms. So you've got your brand right out front. It made me laugh. You know, the whole Karen thing, that's been a big deal this year. And I actually have some girlfriends named Karen, you know, so I'm sure everybody got a chuckle out of that. Probably the only thing I would change if I was writing that ad is at the end where Dan Levy says, you know, okay, I might do this. I think I would have had him apologize when he slid the M&Ms over, because that was the whole theme. It was like, okay, here's my peace offering. I did this. And so that would be the only thing that I would change about that. But it resonated with me, and I think with a lot of people.
Definitely. That's a fun one. It looks like we've got some good things coming in on the chat. They're being sent mostly, it looks like, to the panelists. I don't know if that's a setting in there that I made a mistake and need to change that, or feel free to share those with the excuse me, with the rest of the group, because we've got quite a few coming in just to the panelists. So feel free to change that setting to panelists and attendees to get some of the conversation going there. But thank you, Tina. So Gus, you were up next on our list. If you want to share a little bit about your thoughts about the ads from last night, go ahead.
Well, sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to be the Debbie Downer here and say I didn't have a favorite ad last night. I watched 99% of the whole game. I got to see my Chiefs get crushed. That was kind of sad. But
I wasn't going to bring that part up.
Well, you know, in case people weren't watching the game, I wanted to remind everybody what happened. Okay. So my thoughts and thoughts of many of my internet friends as well were that there wasn't really a standout presented to us last night. There was a couple ads that made me chuckle. One was when Coach Cower gave the mean mug to Beavis and Butthead for saying crack over and over again. And then the Jason Alexander one had the most potential to be my favorite, but at the end I couldn't remember what detergent it was that was selling. So, but I'm going to give you one of those sweatshirts. Really though, I think the night boiled down to, and of course it's an entirely different year that we're in this year. And after a whole year of this, the last year's Super Bowl is probably the last big public event many of us were a part of, whether in live or on TV. But you know, the same formulas as ever were out there. The hilarity, the M&Ms and the Jason Alexander commercials, memories. The one that caught my attention was the Bud Light Legends. And of course, many heartstrings were pulled last night. Too many ads there to mention. But I don't know, maybe people are looking for more than just emotional stuff. And some of those brands could have been doing that for the last year as well. So just some thoughts there, just some thoughts. But, you know, next year we'll have a better game and the Chiefs are going to win next year.
Got it. Well, I think your Chiefs certainly stand a better chance of winning next year than my Falcons, but I don't even want to really talk about that. So next topic. Thank you, Gus. Andy Neidert. He liked one. I'll try to show it here. I believe they're calling it the shortest ad in the history of the Super Bowl. So it goes by pretty quick, but I'll have it up here on the screen if we're ready. Should be good to go. All right. Were you guys able to? Whoops, looks like we may have had a sharing problem. Good news is this one wasn't a very long one. Let me share the screen again here. There we go. Now it looks like it is sharing the screen. All right, we'll try that one again.
In the heart.
So we've got a lot in just a couple of seconds there. This is what the screen actually said. Andy, go ahead and talk us through what you saw in that one.
You done mute there. I was most intrigued, I think, because I've been watching all of the half.
Oh, we may have lost.
Intrigued by the idea that they bought a 5-second video or a 5-second commercial, which you know, typically would go nowhere. But you know, if the idea is to engage people in today's world of smart TVs, you know, you can pause it, you can rewind it. So I thought it was a genius way to spend a lot less money. You know, we're all working on a marketing budget, and Reddit claims that that's all they could afford, which is not the case. They're a multiple billion-dollar company. But I saw the blurb, I saw the logo, I paused it, I hit rewind, and I read the whole thing. Intrigued that, you know, everybody's got a smart TV and you can pause it. And now I've actually engaged with an ad that was on TV. So that's why I found it interesting.
Yeah, that's tough to do. That's an excellent point. Getting that engagement. I like that a lot. Last one, I was going to share my favorite here and talk through it real quick before we get into the how-to of the digital ads that we're going to be talking about. So I think I've got the screen shared there. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. Let's try that again.
Working 5 to 9, you've got passion and a vision, 'cause it's hustling time, a whole new way to make a living. Gonna change your life, do something that gives it meaning with a website that is worthy of your dreaming.
So being the Tennessean on the call today, I had to highlight Dolly Parton. We're, of course, a big fan of everything Dolly does. But this one I thought kind of to talk about what Jonathan had mentioned, that this has, it really touches on that audience and a pain point. You know, there have been a lot of people that are during this time this year are trying to find a creative outlet or some side hustle, side business, something like that, that they work on in that 5 to 9 time frame. And I just thought it was a fun way to reach folks about, you know, about ways to kind of expand their passion projects they've been working on. I thought it was a good way to do that in a fun way of doing things. So we wanted to have a little bit of fun, a little virtual water cooler talk there as we got started talking about the advertising yesterday in the Super Bowl. But we know that a lot of the public power providers and telcos that we work with at WordSouth, Pioneer, and Arc probably can't afford John Travolta to do a TikTok dance for your ads. But we wanted to be sure that you knew that the having the big budget is not necessarily what is the crucial aspect of making a successful advertising campaign. So we've got our experts, and we're going to be talking primarily with Tina and with Gus here in a moment. But I wanted to get into a little bit specifically about digital advertising, just so that we can show you how far those dollars can go. When we're talking about ads and advertising, you think a lot about commercials. You may also think about everything from radio, billboards, the ads that you may place, your company may place in things like high school football, high school volleyball programs. There are a ton of different media out there, and they all have their pluses and minuses. And we do work with just about all of the forms out there, all the different media. But to focus on digital is the goal for today. So I wanted to start with Tina and then go to Gus. But Tina, if you don't mind, can you define some of the different types of digital advertising? There's a lot to keep up with. A lot of folks may have heard bits and pieces. But go ahead, if you don't mind, give us a quick walkthrough of some of the basic types of digital advertising that we're going to be talking about today. And I think I'll hand the screen sharing over to you. There you go.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, I'll just pull up a visual for us to kind of look at here, hopefully.
There we go.
So
great.
Some of the ones that we'll talk about, this isn't everything, but we'll have Gus talk on Facebook and Instagram, social media, and we'll dive into the targeting tactics. I think everybody's familiar with display ads, but there are some new targeting capabilities. Mobile conquesting is a new technology, and we can talk about that. We'll go into video ads and OTT and why they're important. And then two other really interesting new technology, native ads, and then we'll define what social mirror ads are and how those can work with your Facebook and Instagram posts. And then finally, we'll land on pay-per-click or search advertising.
Excellent. So a lot to cover for sure. Gus, do you want to kind of give us the same brief overview there about social media advertising? I know that that's kind of that's your wheelhouse. So if you don't mind, talk through us a little bit about the different options that folks have if they want to advertise on social media.
Sure. I don't have a cool slide like Tina, but you can advertise on all the social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok, if you want to reach the 4-year-olds in your audience. All of those platforms are available to advertise on, and they are very, very manageable ad placements. They're very, very affordable ad placements, and they are very, very they're very, very, very easy to manage these ad placements. So what we're going to talk more into some more details here a little bit, but the co-ops and the telcos and everybody on this line, we should consider with the social media advertising as well as any digital placements.
But the general rule, like we've talked about before, is go where the eyeballs are, right? Sometimes, a lot of the time, it pays to, even though there may be some new, some new platforms out there, like you mentioned, knowing where your audience is and going there is generally a good rule of thumb, you would say, I would imagine.
Sure. We have found in our research that the largest concentration of any service area residents are on Facebook, and they're on Facebook every day. The statistics show that Facebook-wide people are on there 38 minutes a day. So whether that's one 38-minute shot or 38 one-minute shots, there's potential to reach those folks at the end of your lines multiple times a day.
I'm sure that I have contributed to that number going up during this pandemic time. That's for sure.
We see you clicking.
Yes, definitely. So, Gus, let's stick with you for a second here. I know that you have blogged about it, and you and I have recorded a podcast about it in the last couple of weeks. But just in case there are folks on the webinar who have not listened or read yet, I'll say yet because I'm an optimist. But if there are folks that have not heard us talk there, there's been a lot of headlines about social media in the last couple of months. There are a lot of rule changes after the election. What does that mean for folks who are trying to advertise on social media? Can you still advertise on there? What are the rules? How have things changed in the last few months?
Sure. Well, social media, all the platforms are still heavily used every day by different segments of the population in your service areas. So don't discount that just because it's negative headlines. Always remember that there's a business decision behind breaking those negative headlines with the social media. And whether it's posting the organic content or promoting paid content, the audience is still there and still reacts. Now, organic is not something you should depend on fully 100% to reach all of your fans or even all of your members at the end of the line or folks at the end of the line. So that's where the advertising comes in to reach those folks on a daily basis.
And I guess we would all agree that no single channel that we're going to talk about today or that we talk about in any of these webinars is going to be the one and only thing that you need to do to communicate. Obviously, a multi-channel plan is going to be your best bet to reach folks and move the needle as you would like. So,
sure.
Tina, I'd like to jump over to you if we can. Speaking of social media, it owns such an important place in our brains now that there are actually some kinds of advertising that you're going to talk about that use that look of a social media post to be an ad, which I think is kind of a cool concept. So can you share a little bit more about that for us?
I am going to go ahead and pull my little visual slideshow up here.
Sure.
Just to show you. And
there it
the
goes.
one that you're referring to, can you guys see that okay?
All good.
Okay, great. So social mirror ads, that's a new technology that we have available, and I'll just kind of go into what that is and how that works with your social media posts and paid ads. Basically, what a social mirror ad does is we make it look just like your display or video post. But the difference is we're able to, instead of just being on that one platform, we're now able to apply that to other websites and other apps and link back to the social media platform and your website running across all those devices. So here we've got an example of like an Instagram post. And what we do is we take that post and we make it look, or we mirror it to look exactly like your Facebook or Instagram post. And these can run across all devices. Social mirror ads can be done with any of the organic or paid posts from your business account. And I think Gus alluded to these earlier: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, and let's not forget TikTok. So it all really just depends on who your audience is and how you're trying to target them. But that's how social mirror ads can work for you. And, you know, we are a society that is consumed with consuming social media. And so when we see those ads that actually look like posts, we're seeing that people are getting a higher engagement, there's a higher click-through rate, and they work. So that's a little bit about social mirror ads and how they can work for you.
Excellent. I think that's an interesting concept to me, and one that I hadn't heard about before you joined the team and started sharing that with us. Native ads, I think up there to the top left corner there, that's another one of the newer technologies you'd mentioned. So if you don't mind, talk us through why somebody would want to run native ads versus a regular display ads and what some of the differences are.
Sure. And I think everybody is, really familiar with the good old display ads. Native ads are a new technology, and it can be a native display ad or a native video ad. And these, much like all the other advertising that we're talking about, goes across all devices, and they match and feel the context of the website. So here, we're on a website that has a white background with blue font. With the native ad, they are created dynamically. So they're created kind of on the fly, if you will. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to place an ad and make it look like it's within that context. So you've got, a CNN website here she's on, and this ad is now matching that context with the color, the font changes, and the format can change. And so that's what makes a native ad different than just a regular display or video ads. And by the way, don't forget, native ads can be video ads as well. Those do play automatically. And really the reason that they're so effective is because we read a banner display ad, but with native ads, because they're embedded into the content, it requires both sides of our brain, and we're seeing that it's getting higher engagement, ad recall, likability, and influence. So that's kind of a new technology for you, and native ads are getting 300%, 300 times the customer's attention than processing just a regular display ad that they might see. And I'll go into targeting here in a moment.
Sure. So we have a question here, and I appreciate that coming in. This may be one that we, I don't know, Gus, you maybe I'll help with this, or Tina, you may know the answer. But the question came in: does social mirroring ads help with Google search, SEO, et cetera? We need help with our Google search. I know that search is one of the topics we're going to get to a little bit later on, but I didn't know if you'd seen anything, Tina, that connected social mirroring ads helping anything on the search front, or if that's more in a different category coming later.
Well, in my opinion, any type of advertising, any type of digital advertising that you're doing, where it's linking back to your website is going to help. That's going to optimize your website, just because of the way Google's algorithms work. But social mirror ads, I mean, I wouldn't say that they directly impact that, but I think all of it does. I think any type of advertising you do where you've got content going out and then the customer linking back to your website is going to help.
Got it. We'll make sure to have some time to talk about the paid search ads coming up later on, but I do appreciate the question. And if anybody else has more, feel free to throw them in the chat. I appreciate that. So the next one that I want to talk about is over there on the other side of your circle there, the mobile conquesting ads, because this is a cool one to me. Let's talk a little bit about what that can do, and then I think that will probably lead us into a discussion a little bit about privacy. But let's go ahead and talk mobile conquesting, if you don't mind.
Sure. So mobile conquesting is kind of a newer technology as well. And with this, we're using location-based and demographic information along with behavioral targeting to reach your customers. And it can be display ads or video ads, but it's only on their mobile device. So with mobile conquesting, what we do is we're looking at online behaviors, but we're also able to track them by their offline behaviors as well. And what we can do is we can take a customer service territory, or even your customer service list if you have it, or your members list. And then what we do is we layer in these other targeting behaviors on top of that. And so it makes it really interesting. And this is a concept that allows organizations who just want to talk to their customers, other than on social media, obviously, but if you just want to get a message to those members or those customers, it allows you to cut out some of that, some of that extra waste that you might be targeting other people. So the other caveat to this is that these ads only run on mobile websites, and it's only through their mobile devices. But how that works is if you did have a customer list and you're allowed to share it and you want to, no names or phone numbers are needed to protect their privacy. But we basically take that address list that you have of the home addresses of your customers, and we serve them ads at their home. And we create a little invisible fence around their home, and then we're able to retarget them when they leave their home. And this just kind of shows some of how these ads look. The thing that makes mobile conquesting works so well is if you add cross-platform targeting, and we've already talked about a lot of these types of targeting that you can do. You can add on native display, social mirror ads, display ads, videos on top of it. And so now once we've got them in, they've walked inside their home with their mobile device, we can serve the message to them, but then we can continue to serve that message to them on other devices within their home.
Great. I think there's a level of complexity there that folks will appreciate, being able to reach folks in all those different ways. So what kind of trends, we were talking about mobile ads there, and everything that I've seen on more and more is on mobile. What kind of trends have you seen with mobile ads? Are they getting clicks? What are some of the results you're seeing when it comes to targeting folks on a mobile device as opposed to a laptop or desktop?
We get that question a lot, and I think mobile ads are relevant, and people are on their phones. Think about how often you're on your phone while you're watching TV, or we've all got our phones sitting right next to us, hopefully on mute. So the ads are getting really good engagement, and I'm trying to flip back and kind of show you some of those examples of those ads. Let me see if I can get there. And I think it's because of this new technology with the ad sizes. Before we were just kind of used to that little tiny ad, here or here, but now with new technology, the ad can be larger. It can even be on their tablets. And you can even have like a full screen ad now, so where it takes over that full screen depending on what you're doing. So those are getting pretty good engagement in comparison, and I think people are just so attached to their mobile devices.
Yep, I've heard about people like that who are very attached to their mobile device, and haven't accidentally picked it up 2 or 3 times already in this the webinar. So, Gus, did you have something to add there?
If I could, yeah, I was just going to add that in all the years we've been doing the social advertising for the folks that we work with, we've seen, and we do a dual placement on desktop and mobile, and the mobile is 98% of the placement. 98% of the folks, give or take, are seeing our content on mobile, not on desktop or laptop, etc.
Wow, it's good to hear. And it's good to have applications like this to reach folks where they are, because I think that's what we'd all agree would be the key to advertising, however you're going to do it. Let's jump down. Tina, I want to be sure that we had time to talk about search and pay-per-click ads. So if you don't mind, let's jump down there before we get into video and talk just about how does that work? That's been around longer than some of the other options we've talked about before, but obviously people are searching all the time. And it's a key spot for folks to be. So what are some of the things that you would say as we walk through talking about search ads?
Well, search advertising, or pay-per-click as we used to call it back in the day, is just basically takes the place of those old classified ads, so to speak. They're just text ads. It's a relatively inexpensive way to get started, and it typically will drive consumers who are further down in the sales funnel, so to speak, to go ahead and act. Here's some examples of what they, kind of what they look like. Now for us, what we do is you can do this yourself, of course, but it does become very time consuming and optimizing the campaign. So one of the things that we can do is kind of pull everything together for you, do a Google estimate for you, show you how many clicks you could get based on the content, based on your search terms and your target demographic. I'll show you what those ads include. So when you're building your search ads, you always want to have a headline promoting your business. You'll have a description of your business, your call outs, and then site links too, to highlight the most important pages of your website. So in this example, this person has a call out for an extension to call. They want to receive phone calls. where maybe this one is wanting us to download an app. So those are some different things that can be done with your search advertising. And this is all based on keywords and your geo target. So we've kind of touched on a little bit of the other targeting capabilities, but with search, it's just that geo and those search terms. And then we're able to find those people who are interested in whatever it is you have to say.
Excellent. And I could see that being very handy for some of the different folks who are on. I want to talk a little bit about the video options with the video ads and the over the top. We'll get into that. Towards the end, I'd like for us to talk a little bit about, how do you know what is what and get into some strategy. But if let's go ahead and get into the video ads, because I think that's something obviously the ones we saw at the beginning, you don't have to have John Travolta be able to be in there to make a good video ad. So walk us through those.
Okay, so video ads go across all devices, appearing on websites or apps using targeting strategies. So most people are familiar with pre-roll, but that's basically an ad that appears before the content that the entertainment content that you want to watch. But some people know what they are, but they may not know what they're called. Over the top or over the top television or connected TV is another one. And I want to touch on that one because since the pandemic, we're seeing that these are really going up exponentially. But we can target all these different types of ads with behavioral targeting, keyword targeting, artificial intelligence, and retargeting. And then with video, you can add in your Facebook video ads, YouTube, and then over the top. And with over the top, we saw those really expensive, I think they started out at 5 million or something, $5.1 million was the bid rate for those ads with Travolta in them. Well, this is a way that businesses can compete online without that huge television budget, maybe that they've experienced before with broadcast. So over the top television is basically just video programming. I'm sure a lot of the people on this call are familiar with it. It's transmitted via the internet, not your traditional cable or broadcast TV. And you take a 15-second or a 30-second video, and it appears within the video programming that they're watching. So this can be watched on any type of device. Everyone's familiar with the Roku, the smart TVs, the Fire Sticks, all of that. Several different types of devices. And then what we have is access to thousands of publishers, whether it's Discovery, A&E, CNN, Food Network, there's just thousands that we can grab that consumer's attention based on their territory while they're watching their entertainment. So with over the top, you've got behavioral targeting, and then of course artificial intelligence, and we match those two together, and we're able to target folks. And it's if you're not doing it, it's probably something that you need to look into. It's a little bit higher than pre-roll video, but it's much lower than regular television advertising. And of course, there's thousands of targeting capabilities that you can do with over the top television as well. Just some facts here. I think the main thing with OTT is that we recall seeing those ads. I was watching, we talked about the Chiefs game. I was watching that on CBS All Access. So I was actually, the ads that I was seeing were being served through over the top television. And I think the number one thing about it is that 76% of us have a smart TV and are watching and consuming this information.
Got it. I was confused for just a moment. You said the Chiefs game. It was clearly the Bucks game, but yeah. Now I know we're talking about the same thing. Took me a second there. So
well, no, but I'm from Missouri, so I'm still hurt about that.
Right. We did not really think about having three folks from Missouri on the call with the potentially feeling from a loss after yesterday. But hey, that's how we go. It was interesting. I noticed the same thing. I'd been looking for shopping on my computer for vests and flannel shirts. As my coworkers know, that's pretty much what they get every time they're on a call with me. And when I went down to watch some Hulu before I pulled up some reruns of King of the Hill to watch, there was an LL Bean ad that popped up right there with flannel shirts and vests, and that may have been a coincidence, or it may have been exactly what you're talking about there, where they're getting into the OTT ad. So I thought that was an interesting coincidence, and I think I was glad that happened a few days before running a webinar here on digital advertising. So we're getting toward. We try to keep these to about 45 minutes. I want to be sure that we had a little bit of time to either take questions, but then also to talk about a little bit of big picture strategy on how folks can decide what ads they want to run, what kinds they want to do. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and put those in. But Tina, before we move on, was there anything else that we didn't get to that you wanted to discuss before we get into kind of the big picture talk?
Well, I think the only thing that we really didn't get around to, which may be a whole nother webinar, but it's the targeting capabilities. There's a lot of new technology with all of these various platforms that we have. The targeting capabilities will blow your mind. So if anybody has any questions on that, we can talk about it, or we can do another webinar at some other time as well.
Well, let's take a couple of minutes and get into that. Tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that, since we're already talking that way. We may go about 5 minutes over, but hopefully that's not a conflict for anybody. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Okay, can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay, so with all of these various platforms that we've talked about, what we can do is we can target them in various ways, or we can layer these targeting capabilities on top of each other. So basically what you can do to get to your consumer is, we always suggest that you start out with your service territory or your customer list or whatever it is, zip code, state, city, whatever. Then you can layer on behavioral targeting. And the reason that LL Bean, you basically got retargeted based on your behavioral category. So you fell into that category, which is kind of creepy, but it's pretty cool because that ad was relevant to you. So with behavioral categories, what we do is we're able to show your ad, whatever type of ad it is, whether it's a native display ad, a social mirror ad, a good old regular banner display ad, or a video ad, to people based on their online behavior. So this gal here, she's into fitness videos and athletic apparel, protein bars, things like that. So we know that she falls into these behavioral categories, and that's exactly what happened to you with your, with your attire. They figured out you like it.
I'm
this
definitely
is what you like, and this is what.
I'm definitely in the flannel shirt and vest category for sure.
Yeah, and so that's pretty exciting because you would rather see those flannel shirt ads and take advantage of them than, maybe golf shirts or whatever it is that you don't like. So that's pretty exciting. And with the behavioral categories, there's thousands of them. So we just usually kind of try to figure out what the content of the ad is and then make recommendations based on that. But it's pretty cool. Another thing you can do, and this is different than pay-per-click, this is called keyword or contextual targeting, is you can show your ads, whether the display ads, social mirror ads, video ads, anything like that, that contain on websites that contain the keywords related to your campaign across all devices. So what that means is this particular person is on this website, and we know because she's on the contextual data of this website, we know that we want to serve her this ad. And so you can have like a list of up to 500 keywords that we can target for you. And so that's a really powerful way as well. And then there's artificial intelligence, which is showing your ads to people using machine learning to target based on who's engaging with the ad. So first we start with the territory. Then we're constantly collecting that. AI is collecting that data and analyzing everything, whether they're engaging, clicking, conversions, browser type, device, it knows. And then it's able to find other people like the ones who have engaged with it. And so it's really a powerful way to reach people. And then the last thing is retargeting. And that's just basically everybody's had it happen to him. You've had it happen to you, Andy. It sounds like you almost had a cross-device retargeting situation there, which is just kind of exciting. But we're able to follow people after they've left the website, showing them a display ad or a video ad across all devices. And so again, I'm sure everybody's probably pretty familiar with this, but you have a potential customer, she comes to your website, maybe she doesn't do what you want her to do. She doesn't download the app, or she doesn't click on it or fill out the form. So we drop a cookie, and then she's just out there visiting other websites, doing her own thing, and she's served another ad. And so that's how retargeting works. She sees that ad and she goes, oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to do da 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 da. And so the goal is to get her to come back to the website and to convert to whatever it is that we wanted her to do. So that's a little bit kind of a real quick snapshot of how we can target.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry for skipping over that. But so, and this may be a question to bring Gus back into it too, but let's start with Tina. When you're, so say somebody has their wheels turning, and I know we got some great marketing and communication minds on this call. Maybe somebody's got a fiber build that they are going into a new area and they're thinking about some of the ways that they can do some things here. Maybe they've got some competition and they're trying to move up the rankings and be a little higher there. Perhaps they've got a program, like you mentioned on there, the energy savings program, or a solar, community solar type project that they're working on. How do people start deciding which ones to use? Like I was talking about with Gus earlier, there's no one of these that we feel like they should put everything into. But what are some of the ways that you advise folks? And I know we've just kind of touched the surface on these. What are some of the ways that you generally advise folks on how to go about deciding which of these to use, and how they might want to start allocating budget to do some of these bits of advertising? We'll start with Tina and then maybe hop down to Gus.
I think my advice always starts with, what is your budget? Because there's a lot of ways to slice it. So depending on the budget, we may be able to layer more platforms and more behavioral or keyword type targeting on. So really it does come down to your budget. And then what we can do is we can help advise, okay, well, if you have a shoestring budget, that doesn't mean that you can't compete with the big boys. It just means that you're going to have to divide and conquer. And maybe sometimes what we do is we have a smaller geo target and we beat the crud out of that, and then we move on. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to just spread yourself so thin across a huge geo target and spread yourself to, if you have a smaller budget, you don't get as many platforms, right? Because it would be better to pick 2 or 3 of them rather than all 7 and just dabble in each of the 7. So that's always kind of my knee-jerk response to that.
Got it. Gus, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd jump in and say I totally agree with what Tina said. As far as budget, that's a priority as well. But what are your goals? What are you looking to do? Do you want to grow your social audience? Do you want more signups? Do you want more awareness of the rebate program, et cetera, et cetera? So, we're going to take a look at your goals and your budget and help you decide the best path for your mission.
Excellent. I think those are 2 good ways to think about it. It comes down to what do you want to do and how much money do you have to spend as to what you can accomplish there. So just like a lot of things. Well, I appreciate Tina and Gus, Jonathan and Andy for being on. One of the reasons why I am so excited about this new family of companies we have with Pioneer, WordSouth, and ARC working together is we've got great teammates that specialize in fields like this that we didn't have the resources. Any of the individual companies didn't have the resources to specialize in any of the spots as deeply as we are able to now. So I appreciate Tina, your ability to come on and share some of those. I know we've just touched on the surface, and we'd be happy to talk with folks who want to know more. But Tina, thank you for taking the time to be on.
Thanks for having me.
Gus, Jonathan, and Andy, thank you all for being on.